France has a long history of civil unrest. Protests, strikes, and revolts could be dated back to the early 13th century. However, in recent times, France has been known to protest against the change in retirement age. More than 2 million people rallied nationwide when President Emmanuel Macron increased the retirement age from 62 to 64. Many countries in Europe, like the UK, Germany, and Poland, have a higher retirement age than France and a shorter life expectancy than the French. So even though the French in general enjoy a longer retirement, why this increase instigated a full-on rebellion in France? Before we dive deep into the French pension system, if you enjoy videos like these, please show your support by liking and subscribing as it comes to you at no cost and helps the channel massively. The pension system in France is made up of 3 pillars: the French state pension, compulsory supplementary pension, and voluntary private pensions. The law changing the retirement age focuses on the state pension, as about 25% of the population is over the retirement age, and this is expected to increase to 1 in 3 people by 2040. This aging population is the reason why France spends over 14% of its GDP on pension systems, which is almost twice as other countries like the USA, Canada, and the UK. And even though they spend a lot of money, the pension isn't that great. The average monthly state pension in France is about 1,200 euros, or just under $1,300. For comparison, neighboring Spain has an average monthly pension of 2,500 euros, which is about $2,700 a month. So a combination of an aging population, a higher percentage of GDP spent on pensions, and relatively poor benefits is the justification given by the French government when they increased the age. Those are not bad reasons, as the last thing any country wants is to run out of money to pay its citizens for a lifetime of contribution to the economy. Much like Social Security in the US and CPP in Canada, the French contribute to a pension fund which is used to pay for retirement benefits. With the population aging, the ratio of working-age contributors and dependents on this system is reducing year by year. So the dilemma with the young workers is that not only do they have to keep working longer to be eligible for a relatively lower pension, but also there is a possibility that based on the increase in the aging population, there will be a point in time when the money going into this retirement fund is not going to be enough to cover every payment France needs to make to its retirees. And this can potentially leave the current generation without a state pension. When President Macron was about to take this bill to the parliament for a vote, it was pretty obvious that the people were angry with the whole situation, so there was no chance of the bill getting enough votes to pass. The majority of parliament members were angry and unsatisfied with the situation, much like the people in their constituency. This is the reason the bill never made it to the parliament for a vote. Macron used a special article in the French constitution allowing the government to force the bill without a vote. This is what started the riots and strikes, as the officials elected by the French public didn't get a say in this at all. The majority of the jobs are in the sectors where hardworking people provide essential services required to run the country. So a strike in these sectors meant distress for the whole population, from garbage not being cleaned for weeks to trains completely stopping. These groups are extremely annoyed at the situation, as a lot of these jobs are physically demanding, which has an impact not only on their life expectancy, but also the quality of life after retirement. And now everyone who is going to retire soon has to push back everything till they turn 64. That pushback is not easy for everyone, as the cost of living also keeps increasing. Depending on where you live in the country, rent alone can take up most of the monthly pension amount. When you add other basic expenses, the typical living expenses in France adds up to 1,800 euros, or almost $2,000 a month. That is way over the average pension amount of 1,200 euros. Looking at these numbers, it won't come as a surprise that year after year household debt has been becoming a bigger and bigger percentage compared to the country's GDP. The Social Security system in the US is facing a similar issue, with potentially running out of money within the next 10 years. So what can we do to prepare for these systems to crash? Well, the best thing we can do is to not totally depend on these systems in the first place. We all have seen people working till they die because these pensions are all they have and they can't afford anything. It would be better if we are financially stable enough that this pension seems like a bonus rather than your only lifeline to survive. This is achievable by investing consistently till retirement. If you are in France, looking into the biggest stock market index like the CAC 40 will be a good start. And regardless of your location nowadays, we have access to invest globally. This opens your investment options and exposures to investments like the S&P 500, which has a long track record with consistently higher returns than other indexes around the world. Another thing we can do to prepare is to pay off all our debts. This can significantly reduce your risk when things start to go down. Unfortunately, taking control of your financial future is the best solution to this problem, as we know how efficient the governments are with money. And knowing all this, I personally can't hope to just depend on them for my retirement. What are your thoughts on these broken pension systems? If you enjoyed this video, then you might enjoy one of these as well. Thanks for watching.